everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a hot foil card using Close to My Heart Thin Cuts. Okay, so I'm going to use this stitched lattice background cover plate, and it's still available, along with in full bloom stamps and thin cuts. So I'm using the Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil machine. And I'm going to lay down my foil, and I'm creating a sandwich here. So I've got my piece of cardstock, and then a piece of foil, and then a piece of parchment paper, and then my thin cut. So I've let it heat up on the hot foil machine, and I've made my sandwich, and you have to kind of play around with your sandwiches. The one that works for my big shot is the Spellbinders thin shim, and then a piece of cardstock, and then the spacer plate from Spellbinders. Okay, so you just run it through your big shot and roll very slowly. So go forward and then back to make sure that you have contact through the whole plate. And then you're ready for the reveal. So be careful, the plate is very hot, so use this magnetic tool to move it. And then you can peel the foil off your cardstock. And you get this awesome design. So hang on to your piece of foil. You're going to use it again. All right, so this is a plate from PinkFreshstudios. So I have that piece of foil that I just peeled off the white daisy cardstock, and I'm going to lay that down pretty side to the plate. And then I'm going to add my piece of white daisy cardstock. I have some washi tape just to make sure it stays in place. And then I'm going to create my sandwich, the same sandwich as before, the shim and a piece of white daisy cardstock, and then the spacer plate. And then I'm going to roll this whole thing through my big shot. Okay. I sped the timing forward. When you press that button for it to heat up, it does take a little time. So I've skipped ahead to, so we're not sitting there watching it blink. So, and then again, be careful with that hot plate. And then you peel it off and check that out. So basically you get a 2-for-1, and you are maximizing the use of your foil. Okay, so now I'm going to make my sentiments, and these are the Be Bold Glimmer sentiments from Spellbinders. So I'm going to set them down on my Glimmer Hot Foil machine, and I'm letting them heat up. And then I'm going to create my sandwich. So I'm going to put my foil down towards the plates, and then I'm using the light side of Glacier, and then I'm creating that same sandwich. So when the light stops blinking, you're ready to go, and just roll it slowly through your big shot so that you have complete contact with those plates and the foil, and it adheres to your paper. Okay, so now I'm ready to reveal. So I have my sentiments, hello and thanks, and this set comes with coordinating dies, so I'll be cutting those out. All right, we're ready to do some stamping. I've loaded a whole bunch of these floral images from In Full Bloom Scrapbooking into my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp them out on white daisy with black ink. And then I'm going to be coloring them in with tri-blend markers. Okay, so the beauty of the MISTI is if you miss a spot, you can go back and fix it. So, okay, so now I have all those images stamped out, and I'll get my stamps cleaned up. And then I'm ready to do some coloring. So I'm bringing in some scratch paper and then my tri-blend markers. So I'll skip ahead after I've colored all these in, and then I've cut them out with the coordinating dies. And then I've also cut out my sentiments with those coordinating dies. Okay, we're ready to start building our cards. So the first card that I made with the white background, I'm going to clean this up because it wasn't exactly straight, and so I'm just going to trim off around that dotted line edge, and I'll have some close-up shots after I'm done building the card, so you'll see what I mean there. So I'm just trimming around the edges to clean things up, And then with that overfoiling, you can use a sand eraser to remove it, and I'll show you a trick with the one little dot that actually did cut through. Okay, so I have a A2 size card with a piece of black cardstock that's cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to layer my foil piece on top of it. And I'm just using Tombow tape runner. So we'll add that. So you'll see one little black dot that's showing through. It's where the die cut through the paper. So I'm just going to take my white gel pen and color in the center there. And it hides that little mistake. Okay, so now I'm going to build my card. So I'm just kind of laying things out. I'll show you the complete assembly of this card, and then for the second card, we'll skip ahead because it's the same basic process. So I'm just laying things out, and I'm going to adhere them with a combination of glue and thin foam tape and tape runner. So kind of like that. So I'm just going to start attaching everything. So I've got my thin foam tape, and we'll glue down the thinks. So with the hot foil, you do have to be careful about if you have to pull anything back up, you're going to pull your foil with it. So when you start adhering stuff, try to be sure about the placement. So we'll just add one flower with some thin foam tape, and then we'll slide some leaves underneath with some tape runner. I'm just layering everything here. Kind of like putting a puzzle together. So, like I said, with a combination of thin foam tape and tape runner. Thought I was going to put that flower on that side, but then I changed my mind. It looks more balanced over there. And the butterfly. And then I have some gold embellishing thread, and I'm going to create a little tangle of thread. So I'm taking the little bends from packaging out with my bone folder, and then I'm wrapping them around my fingers, and I'm going to get some glue dots and my piercing tool, just adding some glue dots, and then you place it at the end of your piercing tool and then just stuff it under the flowers there and kind of spread them all out. And then I decided the butterfly needed to be on top of the tangle of embellishing thread, so I pulled it up and placed it right back down. Okay, so these are some die cuts from In Full Bloom. They're a nice heavy weight. They're not quite chipboard thickness, but they're a nice weight of cardstock or thin chipboard. You can cut them, so I'm going to add a few of those around my floral bundle there. And get some of them tucked in. Just trimming them up and tucking them underneath. And then I wanted some even more bling. So I'm going to add some bitty sparkles to the centers of the flowers. So you just slide them off the carrier sheet and place them where they need to go. And there's the first card. That thin cut really creates a nice foiled background for your floral cluster. So go through your stash and see what kind of cover plates you have. Okay, so second card. I'm going to do the same thing and clean this one up and trim around the dotted lines around the edges. And then to fix the areas where it didn't foil, I've got a tri-blend marker, and I'm just going to kind of color in those sections that were still white. Okay, now we can build our card, and it's almost exactly the same way as the other one. So I'm going to add my black cardstock with tape runner, and then we'll add this foiled piece with tape runner as well. If you haven't tried this new Air Touch tape runner, it's awesome and super easy to work with. I highly recommend it. And then I'm just going to lay my flowers out, and then I'll skip ahead after I've adhered everything. So just kind of figuring out the placement here. Use some of those in full bloom die cuts. And then my sentiment on this one is the hello foiled piece. Okay, so now I've skipped ahead. I've got everything adhered, and I'm adding my little tangle of gold embellishing thread. And then I'll add my butterfly and some bitty sparkles to the centers of the flowers. So all of these supplies are currently available in my online store. I will make a list with links in the description below, and with the exception of the Spellbinders hot foil machine and the couple of dies that I used. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it, and then you'll be able to find all of my videos. I appreciate you spending some time with me today, and thanks for watching.